Tommy Boy was such a nightmare, it's a miracle the movie even made it to the screen. Tommy Boy turns 30 years old this week, so here's some things I bet you never knew about it. Tommy Boy starts with the one man who has defined comedy over the last 50 years, Lorne Michaels. According to producer Michael Ewing, Lorne first came up with the idea for the movie as a star vehicle for his new SNL breakout, Chris Farley. But the movie wasn't always about two friends. Lorne initially pitched it to Paramount CEO Sherry Lansing as a story between two brothers, with the other being played by Rob Lowe. Paramount had made Wayne's World and Coneheads with Lorne Michaels, so it makes sense that this is where Tommy Boy would end up, with Lorne as producer. SNL writers Bonnie and Terry Turner were then tapped to write the screenplay, which at first was titled Billy the Third, a Midwestern. Paramount and Lorne then approached Peter Siegel to direct. He had previously helmed The Naked Gun 33 1/3. The script didn't really appeal to Siegel, but he was drawn to the project because he wanted to be the guy who directed Chris Farley's first big movie. As he told IndieWire, I had worked with Chris twice before, on an HBO special, and when he was a guest star on the sitcom The Jackie Thomas Show. I knew that he was one of the funniest people I'd ever met. So Siegel took the job, but he wanted to do a major rewrite before filming. He enlisted SNL writer Fred Wolf to help with that. After Lorne noticed Spade and Farley's bond at SNL, he advised Siegel and Wolf to refocus the movie on a friendship between Farley and a new character for David Spade. They also had to give the movie a new title because Farley and Spade's buddy, Adam Sandler, was going into production on Billy Madison at the exact same time, and there couldn't be two SNL-adjacent movies with Billy in the title. So after many months trying to crack it, they finally came up with Tommy Boy, and they changed the main character's name to Tommy. Siegel also made the very wise choice to hire legendary cinematographer Victor J. Kemper, who had shot Dog Day Afternoon, Vacation, and Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Paramount then gave the movie a $20 million budget, and Tommy Boy went into pre-production in Toronto in the summer of 1994. At the same time, and in the same exact city as Billy Madison, which was what allowed Farley to cameo in Sandler's movie. And according to Billy Madison director Tamara Davis, the three SNL actors did a lot of socializing offset as well. But there was one big difference between Billy Madison and Tommy Boy. Billy Madison had a finished script. You see, Peter Siegel and Fred Wolf didn't have time to finish writing or even fully cast Tommy Boy before it had to start shooting in late summer 1994. Siegel told Film School Rejects, "We started shooting with 66 pages, so they had to write and cast the film as they went along, and this meant that Fred Wolf, Chris Farley, and David Spade had to go back to SNL because the new season was starting up. So they ended up shooting on their off days and off weeks, flying back and forth from New York to Toronto." Siegel explained, "We thought this movie was barely going to get there because we literally had no script and we were making it up. Things like the gas station bit and the hood of the car flying up came from little things that just had happened to them in real life that they then wrote down and put in the movie." Siegel said it was like putting down train tracks in front of a running locomotive. They also relied on Farley and Spade's improv and just casual conversations. As Ewing explained, sometimes they would just be talking in conversation and they'd say something so funny and we would say, wait, what did you say? Quick, write it down. And I think that's how the line, "Does this make me look fat? No, your face does," that was just in conversation. Spade's housekeeping bit was also something he would just do in real life with Chris Farley at their hotel that they put in the movie. And Fat Guy in a Little Coat was a bit that Farley had done around the offices at Saturday Night Live. At first, he just delivered the line straight. He just said, "Fat Guy in a Little Coat." But in one shot where the camera was on David Spade, Farley started singing it. And when the editor, Bill Kerr, noticed that in the dailies, he suggested that they reshoot Farley's side of the scene with him singing "Fat Guy in a Little Coat," and that's what ended up in the movie. And also, Chris Farley hosing off like Flashdance was not in the script. They had initially shot that scene without that bit, but it was kind of boring, so Fred Wolf suggested that Farley get hosed down to make it funnier, and they shot it in freezing temperatures with Farley wearing a wetsuit under his clothes. The deer coming alive in the car was inspired by a real 911 call that Siegel believes he heard on Howard Stern. But it took a month to train the deer to actually get on the car. Writing the movie on the fly meant that they had to cast the film on the fly as well. As Ewing recalled, I'd get a call from Pete, "We've got a new character, we've got a cast, but it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Wake up the casting director. Oh, and by the way, the character starts the first line that we're shooting in the morning." Rob Lowe had soft committed to playing Farley's brother early on, but Ewing says because of scheduling problems, they didn't know if Lowe was actually going to to be able to do it. So they held auditions for the part while the film was already shooting. Siegel recalls Matthew McConaughey flew in from, I think, Texas. He was coming off Dazed and Confused. And he auditioned in this little shack by the side of the lake that was just covered in mouse turds on the floor. And it was this really bizarre moment. Rob Lowe ended up being able to do it, though he's uncredited on the movie. Siegel explained, Lowe didn't know what the movie was when he signed on. I think he probably felt like he was just going to do this favor for Lorne, and because he had come off Wayne's World, which was very successful. Rob Lowe later said he's uncredited because he wanted his appearance to be a surprise. Siegel says, because of all the chaos, I even tried to leave. I tried to quit the movie, and I was threatened with a lawsuit, so I had to stay. Despite that, the director is very grateful to his DP Victor Kemper and production designer Stephen J. Lineweaver. He credits them with really making Toronto look like Ohio, and he says to this day he gets compliments from Ohioans saying they really captured the state despite the fact that they didn't shoot there. Tommy Boy did eventually finish filming in December 1994, and Siegel and Kerr had enough footage to cut together a coherent movie. Tommy Boy opened on 2,165 theaters in the US on March 31st, 1995. It did $8 million domestic, landing at number 1, before going on to gross $32.7 million total, which is only about $12 million over its budget. Critics were decidedly mixed on the movie when it first came out. Today, 43% of the 47 reviews assessed by Rotten Tomatoes are positive. SNL was also being trashed by critics at that time, so Siegel thinks anything related to SNL at that point was also getting shit on. And for what it's worth, Chris Farley and Adam Sandler were both fired from SNL at the end of the 1995 season. Tommy Boy was nominated for 2 MTV Movie Awards, Best Comedic Performance and Best Duo. Farley lost the former to Jim Carrey and Ace Ventura, but Farley and Spade won the latter, Best On-Screen Duo. Bo Derek was also nominated for a Razzie for the film. Like so many comedies from this peak VHS, DVD, and cable TV era, Tommy Boy grew into a cult favorite. Ewing says when they were putting together the 10th anniversary DVD, a Paramount executive told him that Tommy Boy was one of the studio's top 10 home video releases of all time. And Tommy Boy is also one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite movies of the 1990s. He even owns a 35mm print of the film and has played it at his New Beverly Theater in Los Angeles. And according to IndieWire, Sandusky, Ohio, the town in which the story takes place, is planning a 3-day celebration of Tommy Boy this year in August. Siegel attributes the movie's success to Farley and Spade. You can't teach chemistry. They just really liked each other, and we were all in the same boat because everyone expected the movie to fail. So we had a lot to prove, and I think that brought us all closer together.